So then on the bistro side, it's the same thing of having those two managers and basically two assistant managers that are running 95% of the day-to-day operations of the bistro.
Right.
So then I can lean into it and say, okay, because there's all the permits, there's the tenant finish build out, there's all these things that as the owner, if you're working in the business, you can't work on the business,
right?
Because there's only so many hours in the day.
Of course. So these individuals then, these experienced individuals, both on the bistro and the cheese shop side, they sound very integral to freeing up your time to be able to move into that whole growth process. That's really impressive.
And what's been hard is finding someone they either come kind of ready-made with the same values and heartbeat and ethos and what we're trying to create in those two spaces, or they have to be with us long enough to kind of understand how we do business, why we do business, and it's not just about selling something. It's about that we're part of the community. We're creating this space, this third space on the bistro side. This basically helping people create a third space on the home side, which is what the shop is about.
Right.
But having those people that I'm not having to worry about if they're recreating themselves or they recreating me and Nancy. And yes, Nate to the degree, even though he stepped out of it. But, it's like when you get hired on in a location, what I try to find is someone who I can trust, but also someone who's willing to carry my vision forward. Because it's my vision that I'm building. And I don't want that. I want it influenced by the great people that I hire. I call it fingerprints. I want their fingerprints on my business. But I don't want them to necessarily change the core of my business.
Understood. That makes sense. I feel like that ties a little bit into my fourth question, essentially asking about how you've navigated the pandemic over the last 2 years for yourself, the associates, and the customers. But as far as the employee retention goes as well, I've been to the Welsh Rabbit, the bistro side, many times. It's a place that I love as well as my girlfriend. It's one of the first places we went to for our date night because we moved in and we needed to find a place where we wanted to be regulars. And as far as I understand, I've been going there for a little over a year now. I've brought many friends. I brought friends' family there, as well as my family, my girlfriend's family. And I've noticed the same staff there. Connor is always there. Every time I go there, Connor is there. And he's wonderful. He's a great guy, great waiter. And I feel like that really kind of ties into that employee retention that you are looking for a specific kind of individual.
And part of what we do is, we look for that person. Some of it, the reason why you always see Connor is because you always come in at the same time.
Yes.
And part of what, and I know that because of the way that I staff.
Okay.
And so when you say I always see Connor, part of what we've done is as a small business, I can't compete necessarily with large businesses, like with salaries. But I can compete on experiences and I can compete on people loving, by and large, people love working at the Welsh Rabbit. And some of it is because they do get paid enough for it to be, what they need and compelling enough. But the other thing that we do is that we really try to make it easy to work with us. By and large, we're likable. People like working for a small business where they interact with the brothers and the wife. We really protect the team dynamic. And so people want to come to work because they're actually coming to work with people that they like. And then one of the other it seems small, but one of the small things that we do is that we set the schedule on a semester basis. And so, I just sent out my first email last week that said it's time to start thinking about the summer schedule. And so then the students that we have, they tell me what their school schedule is. Like Leah has kids, so her schedule will change come the summer. And so then before summer hits, we will set that schedule. I work my ass off, and it's a pain in the ass to try to get, like on the shop side, we've got 6 rabbits. On the bistro side, we've got 12 to 14 rabbits. We try to bring all of those schedules individually, and then we're sharing some employees as well. We try to bring all of those schedules together, and we say, Connor, this is when you told me you want to work. I can satisfy 90-95% of that. And this is your schedule starting today until the end of the semester. And so Connor's schedule doesn't change
Okay.
for 4 months at a time.
Right.
So the first 4 months, from January to May, that's his schedule. It might tweak a little bit over the summer, and then he gets me halfway through summer. He knows what his schedule is for the autumn. We work hard, and we set his schedule from August till December.
It's extremely accommodating.
And so we do that on both sides of the business. And the reason why it works well for us is that the industry, both the service industry as a restaurant and the service industry as a sales space, people are used to getting their schedule published Sunday night, and they might have to work Monday.
Right.
And so we just said that's not the way we do business.
No kidding.
The way we value your time, we value your schedule, and so we set that one and done. But then it's also, I mean, frankly, it's selfish for me because that means I'm not scheduling every week.
Right.
Once I get that schedule set,
It's set. Yep.
it's set.
No kidding.
And then what we've just introduced, and part of this was the pandemic, is about 6 months ago, we've brought on an app called Homebase. It's not the exact thing I need it to be, but it's good enough for now. It's called Homebase, and that schedule gets loaded into Homebase.
Okay.
It's one part scheduling, it's one part work communication, so in a way it's like Slack,
Okay.
where it takes the communication out of your phone
Right.
and into a specific app so you can turn the notifications on and off when you want. But it also, since the schedule is published in Homebase, so like I got a call yesterday from one of the shop rabbits. I tested positive for COVID. All she had to do was hit cover my this little button that says cover my shift. It blows out to the entire team that can cover her shift, and then someone can press a button and say, I'll pick that up.
That is extremely helpful.
And so it's really helpful in the sense that, okay, now I'm not even trying to cover shifts. And it's the same way with time off. It's like, okay, I'm gonna go to this concert, I'm gonna go skiing or boarding or climbing or whatever. They just hit, cover my shift, and it blows out to everybody. Or if there's someone that they have a relationship, there's another button that says swap my shift. Hey, I'll work your Tuesday if you work my Friday.
Okay.
Yeah.
That is interesting. I don't think I've ever heard of that before in a restaurant setting, but the fact that it was developed makes sense to kind of tackle that issue about the communication and being able to cover shifts, and if someone is sick and needs to take off time from work. That's really impressive. I had no idea that an app like that existed.
I didn't know it either. And
yeah.
I had a guy that was doing some internship and some paid hours for me, and he came up with it. I mean, he didn't develop it, but he goes, hey, did you know there's such a thing as this? And so it was really, it's been really helpful.
No kidding.
Yeah.
I like that. I really like that. So I know that we're probably starting to run down on time here, and we've gotten a lot of this cut through, but I'll get on to my last question. Obviously, you're a professor here at CSU. You taught, I remember, 201, which was Sustainable Business Enterprise.
Right.
So in what ways have you incorporated sustainability into your approach as the owner and operator of the Welsh Rabbit?
So what I like about, as crazy as my life is right now, what I like about it is I'm living in both worlds. I'm living in academia and I'm living in entrepreneurship. And both of those interact back and forth with each other.
Right.
And so, I taught today, I teach Wednesday. And so a lot of times I'll walk in the classroom and say, here's what I'm dealing with today. Or here's what I dealt with last week.
Right.
And so the students are getting super culture current, business current, small business kind of input from me that is interacting with the material that I'm talking about, that I'm teaching, that they're reading about.
Right.
But then for me, I'm engaged in academia, so I'm around, the most current thoughts and thinking, and I'm able to work that out in my businesses. And so for me, I wouldn't say so much that we have started a business that we're utilizing sustainability. For me, sustainability is part and parcel of who I am. It's a value that I have. It's one of my deepest values, that I believe that as humanity, we're tasked with taking care of the planet. And that has to do with the environment, that has to do with people, that has to do with the animal kingdom.
Right.
And so for me, it's part of my spirituality, it's part of the way I've raised my kids, it's part of the way I live life. And so the fact that the Welsh Rabbit shop and the Welsh Rabbit bistro is sustainable, yes, I'm trying to implement sustainability practices, but what I'm really trying to do is live a congruent life where I'm saying I'm the exact same person 7 days a week.
Right.
Whether I'm in my place of worship on Sunday or whether I'm, using the F-bomb on Wednesday because I'm fighting with my landlord. Basically,
Right.
I'm acting the same way, and part of that acting is this deep belief that if we don't leave this world a better place, what's the point?
Right.
And the world is beautiful, and the world is tragic, and the world has all this great stuff and has all this hard stuff.
Right.
And part of what fires me during the day is saying, I want to impact people's lives, and I want to impact the world, meaning our natural resources and these things. And as humanity, we have this ability for the metacognition. We're able to think and work at the same time.
Right.
And so that's the way for me sustainability works out, is that it's like, okay, this is how I'm operating in house, so why wouldn't I operate this way in work?
That makes sense.
But you still have to make wise business decisions, where sometimes in the moment it seems counter to that, but you're really saying, okay, I'm intentionally saying I can't afford to put in green light bulbs right now,
Right.
because it's going to be $500, and we're 6 months into starting our business. I'm not going to spend $500 on light bulbs. I'm going to spend $500 on more more product.
Right.
And then in 12 months, 6 months, then that you have the ability to start to make more and more of those types of decisions.
Right. No kidding. That's really interesting, and I think it resonates with me as well. You really are kind of living out that principle of sustainability through your academia and also running your businesses. So it's really interesting to see that duality, but it almost isn't. It's almost like a singularity for you.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really impressive.